Hey, I'm joined by Paul Lapis from Remax Hallmark. Good to see you, Paul.
Good to see you too, Sean. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. And Paul, my first prediction came true, or it's coming true. We hit $1 million for the first time, average price in TRREB history in February.
In
What are you
Feb-
seeing? What's happening out there? It seems like things are going crazy.
it's nuts, like unpredictably nuts. And you called it, I guess. So in some way, it is predictable, but like I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, and before we even hit, the spring market. So it's crazy out there.
Yeah, it looks like it's really like I don't know what the real spring market is going to be like when we head into May and April and May and the weather starts getting nicer, but it doesn't seem like we've had a down period for some time. What are the numbers saying?
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to jump in and show you some of the spreadsheets to show you, but you're right. Like this is springtime numbers. We're in the spring market in February. And so I'm guessing that the lid's going to blow off when kind of things start opening up again and people will start listing their home, but really it's acting and moving just like the spring market.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's amazing. I saw some listings are up, prices up, number of days on the market is down. I just sort of briefly looked at it, but I'm interested to see what the slides say.
yeah, I mean, across the board. And I think the big shocker that we're going to talk about a bit today is the condo market, because we've been talking for the rest of the fourth quarter last year that the condo market had come down about 10%, active inventory was at all-time highs, and that really the condo market looked to be down for a little bit. And we said maybe towards the end of the year, we'll see that picking back up. But it was like a U shape. It popped right back up, and the condo market, that 10% decrease is right back to where it was, in August.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was really a Black Friday sale in November on condos.
Yeah. And it was short and sweet. I mean, for buyers, it's pretty frustrating because we're used to having, these shorter term or longer term transitional periods. So the market's either going up for a year or two or it's going down, and it stays there. But this transition was like, a flip, night and day. A light switch came on and people started buying again.
Wow.
I'm going to share my
It's
screen
like
here
my
with you.
attention span. It's very short, just switches from one thing to another.
All right. That's why we keep this short and simple.
I
Um,
appreciate you doing that for me, Paul.
okay, so here's the February market update. Again, the leading indicators, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this just because how unusual it is. So I kind of put from January 2020, again, not a usual, time where we dipped in here when the COVID lockdown started, but also compared to this year, we had a little bit of a dip in December, and then January and February completely. This is number of people going out and looking at properties well above what it was over basically the summer and fall market, and that's unheard of. Usually we're down here and this February was about 50,000 showings, in that month, and that's normal. This over 100 showings, 100,000 showings in the month, like we're over double what people are out there looking, and it's reflective in the number of offers we're seeing, right? So if we jump to the next slide, new listings stayed steady, but if you look at offers, typically in 2020, where normal February numbers are at, 3,400 offers being made and registered. Here we're over, I think it was 6,900 that we finished in February. And that on the ground level, I can just speak to that. When a condo that, my client was interested in last night had 29 offers on it. There was a meme going out that I had to laugh, but it was basically like a buyer's agent submitting a blank offer to the selling agent saying, here's our offer. And he's like, well, it's blank, please advise. And the meme is basically, well, just have your sellers fill it out, because that's the mentality of the buyers right now. It's just so frustrating as you submit offer after offer.
For sure. I mean, like on average, I mean, what I'm seeing when I'm talking to buyers about, okay, how much you're qualified for, and I'll get a new buyer that will come to me and say, we saw this one, we're really excited. It's listed for $699. It looks like a great deal. We think we can get up to, $699 and $700. Like, well, like these prices, this is the marketing price. The real value of the property is probably 100,000 more than that. So is that something that you can get? It is very competitive, as you can see by this number of offers registered here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's great insight too. Like when I'm sitting down making an offer with a client, we can kind of gauge what the value of the property is going to be. And I'm basically throwing out any comparable sales from September, October, November, right? Those aren't even relevant anymore. You have to jump back to before the market change. And so even a client saying, well, the last unit sold for this, it's like, it doesn't matter. That was a different market. And they're like, well, that was just a month ago. I'm like, it's a different market. And that's how fast it switched.
Yeah, today's sales are tomorrow's comparables, right?
Yeah.
So if it's going up over what it went up last month, that's your new benchmark. Like it's not going to go back down. It's not going to be what it was 2 months ago.
No, and not in this market. It's not. No. Right. So here's the lagging indicators. This is what made headlines the other day. So the number of sales hit record high in February at 10,000, almost 11,000 sales. And, that speaks to volumes that's really springtime high numbers. Like usually 10, 11 is what I'm advising my clients. Like, hey, when you get into it, and this is across the GTA, of course. So, for housing, for condos and the springtime highs, you can expect, 10 to 12,000 sales in a month. But in February, it's usually about 6,000. It's a little bit quieter. So we're up about 52% on the number of sales.
It'd be interesting to see, and I'm sure you don't have this prepared. I'm just going to throw this on you. Like, in this the green line is 2020 and how we went down. And I think we spent a lot of the remainder of 2020 kind of, we were talking about, making up for that lost time and filling in that demand was, banked in that time. Now it seems like we're surpassing what we would have done in a 12-month rolling time. Does that feel right? Or is this more in line with what we were seeing in 2019? 2018, or even 2017, we had huge numbers then.
Yeah. I mean, I think we summed it up at the end of 2020, we had 95,000 sales for the year. And that's kind of one of the highest it's been in the last few years. So yeah, we for sure, even in that 12-month period with the dip in 2020, we still came out on top with a high level of sales. So this year with a hot start like this, you can easily see it going back up to the 100, 120 sales that we had in peak 2017. All right.
That's
so
great.
yeah, so we can jump into here. The average price, like you said, hit above $1 million. So this is the first
I was right.
time. Yeah. This is the first time in GTA history that the average house price across the GTA is over $1 million.
I thought you were going to say this is the first time in history of Toronto real estate that I've been right about that prediction.
Yeah. I didn't want to do that on camera. I was going to save that for after. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So again, I just kind of continue seeing this happen. Like I don't think prices are coming down anytime soon. I think the spring market's here already, and it's going to stay like this across March, April, May, June.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't see how it can go below where we are in February. I mean, February, like this is supposed to be a little bit of a quiet time, maybe starting to pick up a little bit, but where we were in January to where we are today and with the spring ahead of us, there's nowhere to go but up, in my opinion.
It's a challenging market for a lot of buyers. I mean, sellers are happy, but then they have to turn around, and if they're buying, they're just as frustrated.
Yeah, there's nowhere. I mean, there's a lot of listings. There's more listings now than there was before, so that's good. But it's not like there's any sort of discount to sell and then buy something. You really have to want to move. A lot of people are leaving the city and going out to the suburbs, so we're kind of spreading out. But we're seeing like record highs in Oshawa. Like apparently Oshawa is the hottest market in the GTA right now. I'm seeing similar things for Burlington, Milton, like these places outside the city that are on the GO train line are seeing record gains as well. It's just not the city of Toronto.
I've heard some stats of like 38% up year over year.
That's amazing. 30, I mean, that's 2016, 2017 numbers, right?
Yeah, legitimately, it's the value increases that we've seen over the last few months have been, again, and I contribute a lot of that to increased Canadian savings, and a decrease in interest rates have just blown the lid off. And I kind of, I've been advising people that usually the government steps in and makes some sort of rule change, mortgage rule change, down payment change, because they want to temper this kind of market. But with the economy that it's in its current state, the governments are basically turning a blind eye and saying, keep going, guys, keep going. They know that every house sale generates GDP for the economy, whether it's through land transfer taxes, commissions, mortgage, fees, architects, construction. They know that it
Yeah.
fuels the economy, so they want things to keep, trading. They want that money circulating in the economy.
We're seeing interest rates start to peak up a little bit. They're down, they're up from kind of the previous lows. So I'm wondering if that's going to temper the market a little bit. Just that thought of like interest rates keep going lower and lower, and that kind of like gets people really excited. Whereas maybe with the interest rates coming up a little bit, people will kind of sit back a little bit more. Maybe there won't be as much competition.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right in terms of what other policy, whether it's increasing supply or decreasing the buyer spending. I mean, ultimately, they want buyers to keep buying, but they don't. I mean, Bank of Canada kind of for the first time hinted that there are concerns over the rapid rise in price. So they don't want prices getting out of hand, but they want activity to continue, and that's a very fine balance to control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to make a quick comment on the condo market because that's what a lot of people are talking to me like in the last like January, February, from not being able to unload a condo listing to I can't find a seller for a condo. It's been like night and day. And I know this is kind of busy chart, but I wanted to summarize the red line represents active inventory. So this is the number of condos listed in the city of Toronto. And historically, we've seen, in the past, higher levels between 4 to 5,000, active inventory any given month. And you can see it's seasonal, it goes up and comes down. And that predicated the number of sales ratio here as a buyer's market down here. And then in 2016, when the inventory levels came down and buyer demand went up, it was seller's market. And you can literally see how quickly it flipped in 2020 to buyer demand dropping, inventory skyrocketing, and then overnight buyer demand increasing and inventory dropping back down this level. So we've gone from literally from a buyer's market to a seller's market and back like in a span of 3 months.
I thought this was my blood pressure chart,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So, no, you're right. I mean, with prices going up like that, we were talking back in November about there being lots of, a great opportunity for condos. And I felt like it lasted about 3 weeks where there was this like, all of a sudden there's all these decent condos that are for sale. People are having trouble selling them. I think word got around and people just raced back into the market. And investors saw the opportunity, first-time home buyers saw the opportunity with being able to buy some of those. And so that's obviously, that Black Friday sale is over.
It's over. I know. I can speak to the on the grounds. We didn't end up touching base for the January numbers, and that because it was so busy. And that in January, literally, I had a Zoom call with first-time home buyers or an investor just about every single day, if not two of them, and just kind of setting out that first-time home buyers call because everyone literally said, "I heard the condo market's come down. Maybe now is the time to get back in because I see things coming back towards the end of the year."
That's right. Yeah, it's like the housing market now. People can see the market coming back. They're looking more long term. They can see the end of the pandemic. Interest rates are low. I think it's creating a really hot market in all housing types come this spring. And I mean right now, but this spring, the weather starts getting nice. People start getting out of their homes a little bit more. I think we'll see even more activity.
Yeah, 100%. I think everyone's waiting for the listing boom. And that typically
Yeah.
comes in, right after March, kind of at the start of April and continues through May, June. That's when we usually see peak listing booms when the weather gets nice, there's greenery on the trees. And I think a lot of it will still depend around what kind of zone that we're in for Toronto. If we're in a gray zone, if we go back to phase two, those also, kind of allow sellers to list their property a little bit more safely or feel comfortable listing their property. So we'll see what happens. I think the government was going to dictate how much listings actually get listed come the springtime.
That's right. Well, that was great, Paul. Thanks so much for sharing all those insights and details. And, I know they come out, but I don't always read it. So it's good to have somebody walk me through all those numbers. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.